Okay, so once again, welcome to all the members who have joined in. Today we are in the week 4 of the live session. Today is the last session for this particular course, and hopefully we'll be meeting once again somewhere else. But on this particular platform, today will be our last meet, and because then we'll be having the final examination, the written examination. So I hope everyone is doing fine and are in good shape.
Yes, we have Mr. Abhishek. And thankfully, you seem to have recovered a bit.
Thank you, sir. So I'll put my screen on share. Uh, Please let me know if you are able to see my screen.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So as a protocol, I'll just go through the very initial set of slides which have been common. But as we have been informed that there might be newcomers joining in for each and every session. So just to give a brief, these live sessions are mainly to help and guide you with respect to questions, with respect to how the questions would be in the final examination. We'll be primarily solving the previous year's questions, so not the questions which are in the assignment section of your NPTEL platform. So only the previous questions will be solved and addressed. And we'll also try to respond to the questions which were posted in the discussion forum. Luckily, there have been no new questions since the last week, so uh, we won't be having that, but we'll have some interesting exercise at the end. So what we'll do is we'll try to solve the questions probably a little quicker, and then we'll have the last uh, half an hour or so in terms of trying to address or solve some questions and try to brainstorm while thinking aloud. Okay, so since we'll be recording the sessions, it is requested to all to please put yourself on mute. And whenever there is a need of questions or a discussion or you have a suggestion, please unmute. You are welcome to share your point of view. Okay, so this has been the place wherein you could ask your questions. We have been trying to address the questions which have been raised in the platform, and most of them we have addressed in our live sessions. All these presentations as well as the videos have been uploaded under the section of problem solving. So if you are new to this is the section wherein you need to reach to see the live sessions. The YouTube recording for all these sessions have been uploaded, the past ones, and even today's recording will be uploaded by tomorrow. So the course name is Innovation by Design. It's the instructor of the course is Professor V.K. Chakrabarti sir. He's a professor at IDC, IIT Bombay, and is also the head of Design Innovation Center there. The run of the course was 4 weeks, almost a month's time, and the final examination is on 26th of March. Also, the course is free to enroll, so there is no fee in terms of if you want to just understand the content. But for the certification perspective, there is a fee of 1,000 rupees, and the last date to register for the examination was February 20th, which has already gone past by. I am assuming that most of you would have registered for the final examination in case you require a certification. That. Now, certification is subject to certain marks and certain fulfilling certain criteria. So there is a component of we can say like internal assessment, which is basically your uh, week-wise assignments. And then there is this examination, which will be held at an examination center. Uh, you'll have to be physically available for that. So there is a 75% weightage of the final exam, and then there is 25% weightage of your internal scoring. So the best three scores will be taken of the four assignments, and I'm assuming that all of you would have already submitted those assignments as of now. So just a quick recap of how we have progressed from week 1 till week 4. In week 4, we basically talked about the 6th and the 7th C, which was crafting and making the connections with the user. There were also a few video case study of the making of Tata Nano, IDEO shopping cart, as well as the design of fuel dispenser, which the professor has talked about in quite detail in terms of serial innovation as well. So this is something I think most of you would have already understood by now, that there are two typology of questions. One in which there is one correct answer, and the other in which there can be multiple right answers. Okay. In case anybody has not yet been aware of the marking of the MCQs, so if all the options chosen by the learner is correct and there is no incorrect answer chosen, then you'll be awarded full marks. Uh, if you select any one of the incorrect answers, then there is no marks. You'll be getting 0 points for that. I think by now most of you would have understood the marking criteria. And if you select only the correct answer, but not all the correct answers have been chosen, then marks will be given in a proportionate manner. So there would be like 0.66 marks or something like that you'll be getting in your questions. All right. So now we begin with the very first question. So the question is, why did the first design that was produced 20 in numbers at the pilot stage of letterbox failed when it got into big cities and rural areas? The options given are: difficult to post letters for the people in rural areas. Letters collectors got hurt by the metal hooks while taking out the hand plastic bag. In cities, people got confused between the letterbox and the stainless steel spins. And large number of users in the rural areas found it difficult to recognize the letterboxes. So you may please suggest your answers. What do you think?
C and D.
Okay, so
C and D.
all right, we have got C and D.
Yes, sir.
Anyone?
Neeraj, C
Yes.
and D. Neeraj Gaikwad here. C and D.
Yeah, it's C and D.
Okay, so we have got your answers. Anyone else who might not think that there could be other possibilities? Great. So we have got 3 votes for C and 3 votes for D, and let's see the final answers. It's C and D, very correct. There was a confusion. Can anyone explain what was the issue when the letterbox went to the rural areas and the urban areas?
In the urban areas, I mean as in the answer itself, there are misrequisite for dustbins,
Right.
and in the rural areas, it was because of color. They were unable to identify the letterboxes.
So the problem was with the identity. And why do you think, sir, the identity could not be pinpointed?
Because of color, the
Because
red.
of the color. Yes, because of the color.
And
So
also
the
because of the shape, I think, because the new look is like more squarey, boxy, and I mean, like usually people are more, comfortable with the ideal letterbox, you know, uh, what should I say, like the the what is the exact term? I'm forgetting. The semantic, yeah. So they're actually used to with this particular, red color letterbox, but they got confused with the new look. So that is also a reason.
right. So basically, the new box had a SS thing, and then there was a red color somewhere, but it was very minimal. So the impression of the letterbox had been it is predominantly red in color. If you see the top view, it is more like a round shape, is a cylindrical shape thing. So people could not relate it because of the perception they had, the identity they had with respect to the post boxes. which was more in terms of cylindrical, round shape, and red in color. And when these new boxes came in, they got confused with the identity. What are these things? Similarly, in the case of urban areas, they got confused because of the material, which was
Stainless steel.
anybody?
Stainless steel.
Yes, perfect. This is because that was also being used to make the
Dustbins.
dustbins. Perfect.
So here, one point I would like to, I'm not sure, but while placing these new boxes,
Hmm.
it was not been mentioned the location. Have they been reinstalled in the same location, or were they reinstalled, were they installed in some new locations?
Sir, as far as I could see in the video, it was mentioned that the new boxes were installed at places wherein there was a need. So there is a waiting list with respect to the installation of boxes, and based on that waiting list, they deployed the new boxes. So maybe any other participant who has gone through the video can also add in here if uh, they have a different viewpoint or what was the logic of installation of the new boxes.
Uh, yes, that need has been highlighted.
Hmm.
My concern was people generally they have even the human body or their muscles.
Hmm.
They also are used to of following the same path and going to the same location for posting the letter.
Hmm.
So if sometime if the location has been changed and all together totally a new box with new location, then probably that might have added to cause that this is not a post box, and that was just a thought, sir. I don't know whether how it is going
Okay,
to.
okay, okay. So basically, you're saying that because of the new location, probably that was an added factor in terms of understanding. Yes.
Yeah, under in terms of not recognizing the box.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
All of a
Hmm.
sudden, new material, new shape, and new location.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
It was totally a surprise package. What is this new thing coming in?
Hmm. 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 Well, that's a good point, sir. Uh, so, sir, what do you think? I mean, how do government introduce new things? What could have been a better way in terms of this if they were introducing a new thing?
They should
So,
have first displayed the poster at the post box office that this new things are these new boxes will be coming in another month, and they will be installed in these locations.
mhm, mhm.
That awareness should have been created, sir. First,
Okay. So, one is that you generate certain kind of awareness.
yes,
What could be the other possible ways of making people aware? So, one way of awareness was to utilize the post offices and maybe,
yeah,
certain posters you can add there.
yeah. Yeah, even the envelopes, I'm not sure. Probably still in rural areas, the envelopes may be used or the inland letters may be used. So
Hmm.
if they would have highlighted or just shown one sketch or a picture of
Hmm.
this new upcoming post boxes,
Hmm.
then that would have helped them to recognize it better.
Interesting, sir. That's a great idea. So, if they are using certain envelopes or inland letters, maybe on the very top of it, they could have added certain new image or maybe postage stamp as well. That could have been also used. Anyone else? How could we generate awareness if we are introducing something new?
Advertisements, advertisement,
Okay, sir, what kind of advertisements if we are looking into the
uh,
rural section?
like uh, sir put it very rightly. I mean, one is through the envelopes itself. That's a form of
Hmm.
advertisement. TVs, of course, are almost everywhere, uh, and cricket matches. People do watch them. You could have a few pictures of your post box,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that's what comes to my mind right now.
Mhm. Perfect. So advertisements could have been in forms of TV ads. It could have been in the form of newspaper, maybe something which can be translated or made in a way that in radio you can convey them in a certain way in a certain language. Uh, what else could be the solution of creating awareness? Anyone? So many a times what happens is that if you are coming up with something new, although these mediums are there, but then you also need to grab people's attention. So many a times, nukkad nataks are even performed in these areas just to grab first of all the attention and then convey, what you are trying to say, or what is it that you would want to pass on to the people. So या फिर देयर कुड बी गुड गैदरिंग या फिर कोई सभा आयोजित होती है थ्रू द पंचायत और द लोकल बॉडी wherein they dissipate this kind of information. So there are ways, especially when the Digital India campaign started, they made use of all these things through ads, even through SMSs. So because mobile penetration has gone much, so through even YouTube videos, they were able to pass on the messages that even in your local CSC centers, you can actually go get your Aadhaar updated, get your bank related work there. So a lot of mechanisms have been developed to reach out to the rural area in terms of making them aware of what are the new schemes by the government, what are the new things that are coming up. All right, so we'll go to our next question. So the next question is, what were the two initial shaped designs proposed for the fuel dispenser at L&T, Larsen Group? The pie shape and Z shape, pie shape and the bullet shape, the Z shape and the oval shape and the pie shape. What were
I
the
think
two
it's
initial shaped designs?
A.
A,
A.
A, pie shape and G shape.
Pi shape and Z shape.
Okay, anyone else? Four votes. Okay, so let's try to understand the other options. So oval shape was something which was associated with which brand?
ONGC.
ONGC, yes.
Great, great. So it was associated with ONGC, and they had a particular thing that they don't want the hose on the
Top.
perfect. So उनको hose नहीं चाहिए था, so that is why it came somewhere in the middle. Okay. Uh, okay. Now let's come to the bullet shape. It was associated with which brand?
I,
Midco.
Midco. Midco was the firm.
Okay. So Mitko came and they said, they want something new, and they came up with the idea of bullet shape. It was a MDes student who took up the project, and it was later absorbed into the company, and they came up with this uh, bullet shape thing. So the correct answer, as most of you have said, is the first one, which is the pie shape and the Z shape. All right. So yes, the correct answer is pie shape and Z shape. Great. We'll go to the next question. The idea which we get after creating infinity clusters of multiple ideas is called. It's a very direct one. I don't think we have to think much to it. The answer is
D.
Champion idea.
Yeah, it's D, champion.
great. So yes, I think the questions are a bit easier this time, is it?
Want to make them tough?
Okay.
Already they have extracted us so much. Now even nothing, even whatever is remaining with them, it is also of that kind.
गैकवाड सर अभी लग रहा है कि कुछ पास हो जाएंगे मेरे ख्याल में.
We are all gaining some confidence. Okay.
गन्ने का पूरा जूस निकाल दिया है.
And also like radio buttons are easy to answer क्योंकि मतलब two
Uh, uh,
if you if you're wrong in one like option, then you will get a negative marking. So
that's
that's
true.
for
So we have to be very thoughtful in terms of, selecting
that.
answers.
If I'm not sure, I'm not going to answer. I mean,
It's
like
better to
some,
get a proportionate marks, huh,
yeah,
rather than getting a
better to
zero.
get some marks than get nothing.
Yes, ma'am. That's a logic. Okay. So we'll go to the fourth question. What was the inspiration of the top of the letterbox that reinforced user intuition on posting letters? A. Dustbins. B. Foreign designs of letterboxes, both A and D. And beak of the bird.
And
Beak of
D, I
the
think.
bird.
D.
B, B. C. Yeah.
So did somebody say B? B as well? B and D?
No, sir, it is D. Beak of the bird.
Okay. Anyone else? We have got only two and one option. Anyone who would want to think, rethink? Okay, so the correct answer is D, beak of the bird, and it was basically to generate user intuition into if you have seen a bird's nest, uh, it becomes a default thing to put things there, and in most of the even designs of the garbage bins in public domain, you will see either a penguin standing with a mouth open. It's kind of inviting, uh, and you don't have to basically have a learning curve for it. So you by default you understand with a form that it is primarily meant to show certain things. uh, Now, beak of the bird is very interesting aspect. Can anybody tell, it has made an inspiration into an automotive industry as well, um, especially if we talk about the beak of kingfisher bird. Anybody who has came across a term called biomimicry? Anyone you have heard of? You have came across
I
the
have
term?
heard of fish shape for the sorry, bird shape for the bullet train, sir.
Great, sir. Great. So, okay, do
Or
you know the
even
story behind? I mean, how it was translated, how it was figured out? Any brief idea?
the ergonomic shape which helps to maintain the draft of the wind. It was been inspired from the shape of the bird, that is, and even the aircraft, sir.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. So there is a very interesting story about it. So these bullet trains were called Shinkansen trains. And what was happening was that when these trains were passing through a tunnel, and when they came out, they created a sound boom. It's a very loud sound it was making, especially when it was passing through the through the tunnels. So the engineers were trying to figure out, how they can, resolve this issue of sound boom, because it was affecting the neighborhood, uh, and it was creating a whole lot of noise pollution as well. So one of the person who was in the design team, so one of the engineers, he was also a nature lover and he was a bird watcher. And he was just sitting there nearby and he saw the kingfisher bird deep diving. Okay, so it's quite difficult, but let me just assume that the bird is diving like this. It's the eye to catch. So when he saw this particular act, there was no splash of water, he realized. So there was no splash of water when the bird uh, entered, the mouth of the bird entered and caught the fish. And that's where he got certain idea that maybe, this particular shape will help them in addressing this particular issue. So they came up with this head, which was much more fatter, much more resembled like a kingfisher beak, and they tested it in the scenario of this thing, and they realized that the train became much more faster, as well as the sound was much more lowered. So it's a very fascinating story of how the bullet trains and how it got its particular form, uh, being inspired from nature. And this whole idea of mimicking from nature is called as biomimicry. It's a very in thing right now. A lot of aspects, if you see around, uh, are basically inspired from nature, and a lot of research is also going on. So whether it is in terms of architecture, whether it is in terms of clothing, uh, or creating certain products, a lot of aspects are being inspired from nature through this particular thing. So there is another very interesting story of a Velcro. Are you aware what is a Velcro?
Yeah, the string which is used for, or the hook which is used for catching the fish.
Not
Well,
really.
because the strap, I mean, the hook and eye sort of, yeah.
Yeah, something like this. So Velcro is being used predominantly in clothing and even the footwear and lot more areas. So anybody is aware of this story, how Velcro got in place? It's again a great story or great validation of biomimicry. So again, I don't recall the name, but one of the individuals, he used to go with his dog to the fields and come back. And one of the days he saw that these uh, burrs which had tiny hooks, they used to get stuck with his dog's skin, which had fur. And then when he saw that in a microscope, he found that these were basically tiny hooks which got tangled into the fur structure. And that's where he came up with the idea of Velcro, which is now being used in lots and lots of artifacts, including clothing, including wear, clothing, jackets and all. So we have got a lots of scope of biomimicry and how it is being utilized in our day-to-day items. Uh, Going further, let's take the fifth question. Okay. Why Larsen Toubro L&T's Z line or Z line dispensers can't make their stay in the market for long? The options are: the dispensers became unpleasant after some time because of their bulky hydraulics and hose, unimproved functions and outdated design for a long period of time, and because the display of the dispensers stopped working after a while.
I think it's C.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think it's B and C.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It appears to B and C.
Let me just give you one other option. Now, what do you think would be the answer? So we have got two votes for bulky hydraulics and hose, and three votes for unimproved functions and outdated design.
I have one point that is, I'm not sure about bulky hydraulics, but it was for bulky hose. Bulky hydraulics is like little confusing, but hose is one of the reasons, I think, because pump, they improved the hose. Like that was much, like the technology was better because it was then no need to hold the hose pipe for long because it was very heavy. But I'm not sure about the hydraulics.
Hmm. Just like that, probably partially this could be an option, but
Yeah.
because of hydraulics, you might still want to rethink about it. So if it is a radio button question, what would be your choice?
Even the hydraulics, it was of CI, and that was again affecting the rate.
Yeah, if it's a radio button question, then I think C would be proper.
Okay. Okay. Ambrose, sir, you didn't opt for B. Any particular reason?
Uh, the question. the question was, can't make this stay,
Mm,
who could make this stay in the market for a long time. So basically, um, bulky hydraulics and hose. The customer does not bother about the hydraulics and the hose.
mm,
So then they are trying to project something new. I mean, a company, if it wants to stay in the market, they should show some innovation,
mm.
something innovative. So that's why I went in for C. Let's hope I'm right. Look, I tried an innovative answer.
So you're correct, sir. The correct answer is C, which is unimproved functions and outdated design for a long period of time. Uh, so the issue with B is, as ma'am also pointed about the hydraulics, hose was a trouble, but then it was a trouble for the people who are working at the pump stations. It is not a matter of concern for the people who are coming there to get their vehicle refilled. With respect to the hydraulics, I think one of the point which was raised was the material. So the material change was basically helping in their faster delivery of the fuel. So what was the material, sir, if you can tell initially, and what
Yeah,
did they change in the bullet?
It was cast iron
it was
earlier,
CI in LNT pumps.
and then it changed to aluminum, I think.
Yes, sir.
Aluminum. And what was the issue with the cast iron, sir?
It was not smooth.
No,
The
there was corrosion, and due to corrosion, there were pittings or the serrations inside, which was restricting the flow, providing
Mm,
which was creating a resistance for the flow, and that is how the rate was been decreased.
yes. So basically, the cast iron pipe had a rougher, you
Rough
can
surface.
say, inside surface, and for aluminum, it was much more smoother, which was helping in the smooth flow. This is basically just to get an understanding. So there might be a probability that the question might come with respect to this. So that's why we have just tried to elaborate on this. However, the answer of this particular question is unimproved functions and outdated design for a long period of time. This basically is important when we are also talking about serial innovation. So there will be questions ahead, but long period of time is something which we have to uh, think upon. Okay. We'll go to the next question. How did the design of gasoline or petrol dispensers become serial innovation? Because the need of design of dispensers came from a client, because the same dispenser were getting designed after a particular interval of time, because the dispensers were getting inspired by international products, because the product was getting aesthetically designed.
It's B.
it's D.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, just a minute. I answered B, sir, but I will read once again. And then,
Please, sir, please, you have time. How did the design of gasoline or petrol dispensers become serial innovation? Because of the need for design of dispensers came from a client, because the same dispenser were getting designed after a particular period of time, because dispensers were getting inspired by international product, because the product was getting aesthetically designed.
it's B, sir.
Okay. Anyone has any difference of opinion or would like to compliment B or D or C or A? Sir, why do you think it is not D?
So, aesthetics can uh, basically aesthetic. If it is a serial innovation, then what we have designed previously, even the functioning part, should be utilized, and some add-ons should be made on that, and that can be reused again for the new designs.
So you're saying that in this particular option, the functioning part is not included.
Yeah.
And probably if it would have been included, then the answer could have been D as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Only
Anyone else?
aesthetic is not enough.
Okay, okay. Anyone else? Any point of view?
I think innovation only happens when it delights a large number of users, and aesthetic is not only the one reason because of that innovation happens. To delight a number of users, then only innovation can happen. So, I think B should be appropriate in this case.
But ma'am, even aesthetics helps you trigger delight.
Yes, that does, but also function is also important, because if I only concentrate on the aesthetic parts, and there is even I mean like there are some faulty parts in the function, then
Mhm.
I think it will not be useful for the user, because user is the most important part in every process, or like in every process of innovation. So
In that case, it would be then B and D. If we are, obviously aesthetic has to be of importance, but
Okay,
then it would be B and D.
okay. So the correct answer is B. Sir, I'm happy that I could confuse you. Um,
So if I fail, you would be responsible.
so there was one of my faculty, and he used to teach, and he used to ask lots of questions. And at the end, he would always ask, so Abhishek, are you confused? I would say, yes, sir, obviously, sir. Then, okay, now my work is done. Now you continue working. So, so the correct answer is B, and you were correct that it is not just the aesthetic which is required, because if you remember the sunflower model, it had lots and lots of petals, and every petal had certain aspect, sorry, design, technology, and then services, and you know. So if we are talking about innovation, we have to make incremental and substantial changes in all these aspects, including aesthetics. So aesthetics is one of them, but then yes, it has to be there from a functionality point of view as well. It has to be there from other perspectives as well. So as you have rightly said, you know, the the serial innovation happens when you are talking about the same product segment. So same product segment is important, which in our case was the fuel dispenser, and in the same product, and after a certain period of time, because in the video also they mentioned that they would want it for particular like 5 years or something, they would want a product. So but it stayed for 7 to 8 years, and then they came up with a new design through Mitco to come up with the bullet dispenser. Okay, great. So any further questions or point of view here?
No.
I said no, sir. If I fail, you will be responsible.
No, sir, please spare me. You won't fail, sir. That I'm
Thank you, sir.
100% sure.
Thank you, sir. Then I will be responsible.
Okay. Coming to the seventh question. Why the designer Z line was chosen over the first prototype of petrol dispenser? The flow of fuel was fast than any other dispenser. It got international recognition and orders, was using less sheet metal in comparison to the first prototype. It was making a good product differentiation.
D, sir.
Sir B.
It is
D,
C
D.
and D, I think.
Sir said D, and then Sir said C and D. Anyone else?
I think it's D.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else with a different point of view? So I think D is
Sir,
correct.
A can be added, sir.
A can be added. Okay. Sir, if this question was in your final exam, what all options you would have chosen? A, C, and D.
Even if the others are correct, sir, the most correct I will choose, sir.
Okay, so let's go one by one. So yes, product differentiation was very important. They want to have a new striking product which kind of disrupted the existing um, available dispensers. So I think D is correct. Ambrose sir, you also said C.
Yes, because other thing was a box type, I guess,
Yes, sir.
a full box type. So some amount of sheet metal would have been lesser.
Hmm, 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 hmm. Okay. Yes, the correct answer is C and D because in the box type they reduced it by a great majority uh, through this particular design. And I think it is also mentioned in the video as well that they were able to reduce the costing to a lot. It was one of the criteria to reduce the costing as well. So yes, the correct answer is C and D. And yes, I mean we have to also put certain logics into it. If it is a multiple choice, there is a probability that there will be multiple answers which are correct. So I think with that logic, C and D fits in well. Sir, why do you think it was A?
Uh,
I think this was
I,
the case in the other dispensers, sir, not the Z line.
yeah, but even that time when the Z line updation was happening, even the previous pumps, the flow rate was also been displayed over here in this pump. If they are displaying the flow rate, it also means that the delivery is faster. They want to highlight that the fuel which is been delivered, it is delivered at a faster rate. That's why they have made this specific provision, right?
Sir, what I could recall, maybe I am wrong, but others can also help us understand. The display was for the rate of fuel and for entering the amount. If you want for 100 rupees, you can enter that, or if you want for 1 liter, you can enter that. And the price per liter was displayed. So I'm not sure whether flow rate was displayed in Z line. Anybody who can also please, add in your point because I do not recall whether the flow rate was mentioned.
No, there was no flow rate. No, you're right.
हम्म
I
सर वो
feel
फ्लो रेट नहीं था आई थिंक सो हाँ सर बताइए
हाँ सर, इसमें और एक जो वर्जन बना है उसमें 3 डिस्प्ले कुछ तो आ रहे हैं, और उसमें एक डिस्प्ले जो है वो फ्लो रेट के लिए है।
यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द जी लाइन सर और द
हम्म,
बुलेट वन
अभी याद नहीं आ रहा सर।
आई थिंक सर जो कहना चाहते हैं कि जो डेली डिस्पेंस होता था और जो विच वाज फॉर द पेट्रोल पंप ओनर
ओके ओके ओके
what is I think so sir is referring to that might
नहीं,
be I
वो तो टोटल काउंट जो
हाँ
मॉर्निंग में
टोटल काउंट
के
हाँ
जाते
जी
थे,
हाँ
शाम
सर
को
हाँ
आके
हाँ
लेते थे।
हाँ हाँ सर
दैट
हाँ
काउंट अर्लियर दे यूज्ड टू ओपन एंड देन दे यूज्ड टू चेक एंड गेट
हाँ
द काउंट एंड देन
हाँ
क्लोज। वो डिस्प्ले उन्होंने ऊपर लाया था।
हाँ ऊपर
दैट
लाया
वाज
हाँ
दैट वाज अ डिफरेंट थिंग सर।
सर
अच्छा अच्छा
बट इवन इन वन ऑफ द वीडियो आई स्टिल रिकॉल कि फ्लो रेट का भी एक मेंशन हुआ था।
सर ऐसा हो सकता है कि हुआ हो बट आई डू नॉट रिकॉल वेदर इट वाज इन द जी लाइन इट मे बी अ प्रोबेबिलिटी दैट इन द बुलेट वन इट दे माइट वुड हैव डन इट
ओके
बिकॉज इट वाज एनीवेज फास्टर बिकॉज ऑफ द चेंज ऑफ मटेरियल्स सो
ओके
हो सकता है
ओके।
वहाँ पे हो वील हैव टू गो थ्रू द वीडियो वंस अगेन
हाँ सर, ये सी ऑप्शन सही है सर। मतलब सी ऑप्शन कॉस्ट सेविंग तो होनी है, तो शीट मेटल भी तो बच रहा है इतना जेड शेप में। आजू बाजू का तो एरिया कम हो गया ना।
बिल्कुल सर we'll go to our eighth question. Why has the Zealand dispenser became so pleasant to the people? It should be was okay. It won numerous awards. It was present everywhere. The fuel was cheaper. They felt that they were getting accurate amount of fuel from it.
डी सर,
it is
पीपल
D
फेल्ट
Oh,
दैट
D.
दे वर डी डी फॉर डोंकी।
Acha. Okay. D.
सेम ईयर वही का था
Okay. Anyone else? So this was basically mentioned when we were talking about when the professor was talking about how shape was creating some kind of perception, and they felt the people basically felt that they were getting the right amount of fuel uh, from that particular dispenser. I think this trust is very important. Uh, Even I've experienced that, when you have that fuel meter, many a times we do get it fuel at different places, and based on our estimation, if we see that, I've if for example, if you're getting it fueled from the complete tank, the meter or the vector should end at a certain angle. If that angle is any time lesser, or based on our perception, we feel cheated. We feel that there is a trust issue. There might be some ghapla there, and it is a very default listing that happens. So when people were getting fuel from the Z line, they had this perception, or they were probably getting the right amount, as well as they had this kind of trust aspect that, Z line se aap karwayenge to you'll get the right amount of fuel. So this kind of perceptions, creates a lot more marketing word of mouth, which also happens.
So here I would like to add one thing, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
सर जी, ये जो फ्यूल इंडिकेटर अपने कार में आता है, ये फिर
Hmm.
अपने व्हीकल में जो फ्यूल इंडिकेटर है ना सर, वो बार बार इंडिकेट करता है,
Hmm.
लेवल जो इंडिकेट करता है ना,
Hmm.
2 बार है, 3 बार है, 4 बार है, ऐसे यहाँ पे अगर एग्जैक्ट अमाउंट जो उन्होंने वहां पे फिल किया है, वो एग्जैक्ट अमाउंट यहाँ पे अगर कुछ बताने का कोई प्रोविजन बन जाता है, देन दिस इशू विल नॉट बी देयर सर।
That's a good suggestion.
हाँ, क्योंकि अगर 5 लीटर पेट्रोल भरा है मैंने, तो यहाँ पे अंदर भी अगर मेरे को बताता है कि पहले का मेरा 7 लीटर था और अभी
Hmm.
5 लीटर ऐड हुआ है, तो 12 लीटर्स आई शुड गेट दैट फिगर,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
है ना। थोड़े बहुत लॉसेस भी हो जाते हैं तो दैट इज कंसिडर्ड, लेकिन ये इंडिकेटर ऐसे 2 या 3 के बीच में आ जाता है, या फिर 2 रहता है तो 3 पे आ जाता है, तो समझ में नहीं आता है सर। 1000 रुपए का भरा तो एक ही बार ऊपर आया है।
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
तो ये इंडिकेटर के हिसाब से भी मॉडिफिकेशन होना चाहिए सर।
Because so that's a very good observation. I think
आईडीसी शुड टेक अप दिस प्रोजेक्ट सर। ये
uh,
जो
uh,
ऑटोमोबाइल कंपनीज है, इनके साथ मिलके, नहीं तो क्या ये फ्यूल भरने वाले तो, पंप वाले तो वो एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे ना सर, कम पैसे ज्यादा ले और फ्यूल कम भरे।
and sir, there was
ऑपरेट
also some scam also going in between. Some
हाँ सर,
people were.
ऑपरेटर ऑपरेटर भी अपनी तरफ से उनका हाथ चलाकी कर देते, पंप वालों के भी कुछ इंस्ट्रक्शंस रहते हैं,
Hmm. Hmm.
दे वांट टू मेक अप फॉर द लॉसेस। सफर होता है, कस्टमर ही सफर होता है ना सर। तो इंडिकेटर पे अगर एग्जैक्टली समझ में आता है जितना भरा है उतना मिला है या नहीं मिला है,
Hmm. Hmm.
देयर वुड नॉट बी एनी ट्रस्ट इश्यूज, और फिर कोई झगड़े भी नहीं होंगे सर।
बिल्कुल सर।
वो दिखाने को तो जीरो दिखा देते हैं सर, लेकिन हाथ चला के में ऐसे खटखट कुटकुट कुछ कर देते ना, वो बस 1000 रुपए टंकी तो बस ऐसे देखते देखते वो फ्यूल भर भी गया है, ऐसे भी हो जाता है, और बोलते पंप फास्ट है, ये फास्ट है, वो फास्ट है।
Faster flow.
हाँ, ये ऐसे सब होते रहता है।
So
तो
actually,
इंडिकेटर इट शुड क्लियरली इंडिकेट हाउ मच फ्यूल हैज बीन फिल्ड इन योर व्हीकल टैंक।
इसमें जो प्रॉब्लम है ना सर, there are two issues to it. Uh, I work for a firm where we used to get tankers. So at the time they fill the tanker, they would note the temperature. And when the vehicle comes down to your depot where you want to unload, you have to measure the temperature. And उसमें dips, if you see the tanker, they've got a long dipstick, which gives you the volume of liquid or whatever fuel is there inside.
Hmm.
So basically, these are temperature dependent because as the temperature increases, rises, the volume of the liquid also would slightly increase. Number one. Number two is uh, when they do uh, fill your tank with petrol, there's some amount of evaporation.
Hmm.
तो उसमें झगड़ा होने का चांसेस भी है कि यार so issues are there. I mean, how to resolve it? I mean, someone has to find a way. I mean, either you cool the tank and fill it with petrol,
Hmm.
and evaporation does take place. Like you take these tankers which get your bulk supply from different countries. Evaporation does take place, uh, and evaporation of fuel does take place in these
Yes.
big tankers. So, mm, like Sir said, I mean, somewhere down the line, someone would think of an idea and come out with it. Yes, it's possible. Let's hope it comes down someday.
Yes, sir. I think those were very realistic issues, and there could be challenges in terms of addressing it, but we could come up with certain solutions to this as well because it will help us build more trust with the product and more trust with what we are getting, uh, from our money. So,
Eh,
but
Just one thing to add in. I mean, if it also remembers, I mean, earlier we never used to have our petrol filled directly into the tank. We used to have that conical, what do you call,
funnel.
funnel,
Flask.
नहीं conical vessels,
अच्छा,
जिसमें वो भरते थे, और एक छोटा सा होल होता था ऊपर, जैसे केरोसिन जब लेते थे घरों के लिए. It is
हाँ,
a conical vessel in which they would fill it first and then put it into a funnel. They would
हाँ,
have a funnel and then put it into it. जैसे ऑयल भरते हैं, ऑयल के लिए जो छोटा सा, so they used to have 5 liters and so on. So that was one system earlier. There was no meter in the petrol pumps.
हाँ. Sir, was
They-
it something more close to how the milk vendor gives milk?
हाँ 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 हाँ, कि आप इसमें एक एक वेसल में भर दो
हाँ,
और
हाँ,
फिर वहां से
केरोसिन केरोसिन पहले वैसे फिल करते सर, वो
हाँ.
केमिकल फ्लास्क, मेजरिंग फ्लास्क है सर।
So you want 5 liters, but it will be conical because the evaporation would be lesser.
हाँ सर,
okay.
अभी भी वो स्टैंडर्ड कैलिब्रेट करने के लिए या मेजर करने के लिए फ्यूल पंप पे भी वो उनके
हाँ.
मेजरमेंट के लिए होता है, लेकिन अभी फिलिंग के लिए होता नहीं। पहले केरोसिन डिस्पेंसिंग वैसे होता था।
And I think when you add these oil dispensers, I mean, when they used to have a small conical piece of this thing, so that is to be one of the ways.
यस सर, ये शेप जो निकाला है ये बराबर है सर।
ठीक है sir, point noted. I think that's a very good problem area to work on. Hopefully we'll have solutions for that as well. Like sir was mentioning that sooner we'll get certain mobile applications wherein we can actually see what is happening, the amount, the fuel, maybe more trust we'll be able to generate. Okay. So second last question. Uh, Innovation is said to have happened only when the product got international recognition and lots of orders, product reaches large scale deployment, a large number of users are satisfied and delighted, and the product generates great revenue.
It's C.
इट इज रेडियो मल्टीपल चॉइस। बेसिकली इट माय आंसर इज सी, बट
Okay.
आंसर
So
इज सी।
let us keep that suspense. Let us see. So if it is a multi-select, then what would be your answer?
B and
यस सर, बी, बी एंड सी।
mm, नहीं, फिर
बी
ए भी
बी
आ
एंड
जाएगा. ए भी, ए, B, and C. If it's a multiple choice. If it is single
इवन द
radio button,
प्रोडक्ट
only one.
प्रोडक्ट
C.
जनरेट्स ग्रेट रेवेन्यू बिकॉज इन।
सर अगर मल्टीपल चॉइस है तो ए आएगा और सी आएगा और डी भी आएगा, इज इट?
Uh,
सर मेरा बी, सी, बी, सी, डी।
Yeah, ACD. It should be ACD. अगर multiple हो.
A
Else,
and C. A
else,
and C for my side.
else it will be C. That's the most appropriate, I think.
Okay, so अगर सिंगल चॉइस है तो देन पीपल हैव सी
सी।
एज एन ऑप्शन.
यस सर।
Okay, okay. Hmm. Hmm. So the answer would be, according to you all, C, which is large number of users are satisfied and delighted. Okay. Um Product generates great revenue, so it can happen. So I think the other options are basically when if large number of users are getting satisfied and delighted, you might as well get an international recognition. Since you will have large number of users satisfied, you might also create lots and lots of orders. You might as well create more revenue. So it's more like a cause and effect thing. So, but since the option is one, radio button thing, so the correct answer is large number of users are satisfied and delighted. So these three words are really very important. Large number of users satisfied, delighted. This comes to our final question. The bullet dispenser had benefits of more range, faster fuel delivery, reduced load of hose, not getting tangled.
Let's see. Is it a multiple choice or
Yeah, it's
just
multiple. It's multiple. It's all of them.
so it's
Sir
D.
says all.
Yes, sir, all
All
the
of them.
all, sir.
Okay, anyone else? Ma'am, would you like to take a guess?
B, C, D,
Okay, B, C, D, and not A.
A also, I think. But there should be an option then all of the above.
But here also you can select all. You will get that flexibility. So the correct answer is yes, all of them. You were able to get a more range to it. There was faster fuel delivery, as we have already discussed, because of the aluminium, lesser friction, reduced load of hose, because in the other ones it was somewhere here, there was a huge load of the hose because of the fuel filled as well as the weight. And there was the issue of tangling or getting beneath the tire of an e-car or a scooter, which was also reduced with respect to this particular bullet type dispenser. Great, great. So I think today most of you have been very, very pinpointed and correct answers. We are all preparing very good for the final examination. And so from the discussion forum, we don't have any new questions. So it is there till I think 16. Okay. Yes. So I have three questions. Now these three questions
Uh,
are, yes, sir, please.
Mr. Abhishek, just one moment.
Yes.
In week two, we had a contentious question. Answer. The thing. Third, C, the comprehension is nothing but space and environment help you tackle failure and problems. And we had chosen the answer arriving at design insights.
Design insights.
And I think you had told us that you would get back with
Hmm.
NPTEL. Have you
Hmm.
got any feedback from them?
So not from the NPTEL,
Okay.
but from the last video which you will see where they are giving a recap of the seven C's.
Okay.
For each of the C, they have mentioned certain thing, and for that particular thing, they have mentioned arriving at design insights.
Okay. Arriving at
So,
insurance. So that's the
so,
right answer.
so
Okay. Thank
if
you.
you go through
Thank
the
you.
video, you will find that, I think it was for the comprehension, right?
Yeah, it's for the let me just go back and see. It was for the, yeah, it's for the comprehension. Yes.
Arriving. So if you'll see the video where they are doing a recap of the seven C's for
Okay.
comprehension, they have, I think, mentioned arriving at design insights.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else can also please, compliment if that is the thing. Okay, anyway. So, sir, if you go through the recap, you'll get the right answer from there.
Thank you, Mr. Abhishek.
Okay, okay. So, this is the question which I am posing to all of you, and feel free to share your point of view, suggestions, or any example which you think could fit in here. So, can you use a product if it is not working or if it is not functional? So, you can share your opinion through an example, or if you have anything to add here.
It
Can
depends
you
on
use
what
a
the product is.
if it is not working?
It depends on what the product is.
Okay.
Mm, how,
It also depends upon how much it is working and where this product is to be it is to be used.
So you're saying that, how much it is problematic or how much it is working.
Yes, and where it is to be used.
Where it is to be used. Okay. Anyone else?
We can use the product till the time we are not getting an option, other option, a better option.
Okay. So you may continue using it till you get a better option or a substitute. Okay.
can I give an example? Suppose my fridge is not working
Hmm.
and it's conked totally,
Hmm.
and it should have been disposed of.
Hmm.
Like I can use it as a sort of cupboard.
Great.
And let's say mobile and your camera is not working, but
Hmm.
essentially I can use it as a mobile.
Hmm.
So
To make
if
calls.
uh, I mean, some of the features could be used.
Hmm.
Some of the features could be used, and put the product to some other use was what the first example meant.
Hmm. So this fridge example is a real one or it's a hypothetical
Uh,
hypothetical one?
which one? The fridge
Fridge.
one?
Fridge one.
I've seen people use them.
अच्छा.
करते हैं गांव में.
Very interesting, sir. Okay.
People, it's the cheapest cupboard,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
it can,
once it has no value, it is
yeah,
scrapped, then it becomes a very good cupboard.
and it can sit in your hall, and people will think you've got a fridge.
So basically, we are trying to repurpose it, or probably the better word is we are basically
Like,
upcycling it.
yeah, sort of.
Great, great. Uh, sir,
So the other examples are which I am experiencing. विंडोज के स्लाइडर जो होते हैं ना,
hmm,
उसके बेरिंग खराब हो जाते हैं, लेकिन फिर भी हम लोग चलाते रहते हैं। इमिडिएटली वो विंडो विंडो रिप्लेस तो नहीं करते, या फिर उसका स्लाइडर तो रिप्लेस नहीं करते जल्दी।
hmm,
स्लाइडिंग विंडो जो होती है उसका।
so we continue using that.
ये अभी कंटिन्यू यूजिंग दैट जब तक वो पूरा घिसना शुरू नहीं होता, रुकना शुरू नहीं होता तब
Uh,
तक।
I think Indians do that quite often. I mean, like this jugaad thing. I mean, like if something is not working, they actually use it for something else. And अभी ये भी होता है कि कभी-कभी कुछ चीजें, like we don't use it anymore, but we recycled it and make it something new, a different product, and then we use it. For
hmm,
example, I mean, like the boxes, the like the uh, product boxes, or sometimes like है ना कि Amazon से जो delivery boxes आते हैं. So
right, ma'am. Cartons.
yeah, so we create some like innovative crafting ideas we have. So we create
Hmm.
some out of it. So we recycle things and we use it. So ये भी होता है कभी कभी.
Great, ma'am. That's true. Anyone else who has any point of view, any suggestions?
When I was in
और
school,
एक इश्यू ऐसा आता है कि कभी कभी ये छोटी चीजें रिप्लेस करने के लिए किसी को बुलाओ तो कोई आता नहीं है।
Hmm. Hmm.
जस्ट
रिप्लेस
फॉर
करने के लिए सर या रिपेयर करने के लिए?
या रिपेयर करने के लिए।
अच्छा. Okay.
when I was in school,
Yes,
and
sir.
I had a duster, I mean, aimed at me, my master told me that the duster has about 27 uses. apart from cleaning the blackboard. and one of them was aiming the duster at me for being naughty in class. And then it was, I think, hammering nails. I mean, not nail, what is it, dot pins? This thing. One was pressing the dot pin in. A lot of things you could come out with a duster, uses for a duster.
Interesting, sir. So hammering, aiming a shot.
Yeah.
Let's keep cleaning as well because it is keep and thing. Maybe as a
then,
or paperweight.
yeah, paperweight. A lot of, came out with around 27 uses at that
Even
particular time.
cleaning the table as well.
Cleaning the table, then getting a chalk powder on your face.
Sometimes like we use our old clothes to make something new, like for old jeanses we can make bags out of it and we reuse it. So
But these were the wooden ones.
sorry.
And they were really, and luckily I was not the receiving end that day.
Okay. Okay. So there is something called as escalator test. It is something which it's hard to find out on the web, uh, but I read it in a book. And usually, when we do designing of a product, the author has said that he would also prepare the product based on an escalator test. Can anybody guess what could be the escalator test?
Probably for each stage having increased difficulty levels.
Okay, so yeah, that could be like, you have increased difficulty level as you pass by.
Have you
Anybody?
reached the top?
Sir?
Have you reached the top of the innovation? Have you reached the real? I mean, no further. The author has no other further ideas to put into it.
Okay, top of innovation or no further scope of improvement or
Improvement, yeah, yeah.
okay, okay. Anyone
For a
else?
particular,
I think escalation test is mainly to see or to check if it's working properly, all the functions and everything.
Yeah. Any other ideas what it could be? Okay. So let me give you another example. So difference between an escalator and an elevator is that in an elevator it's basically a lift. Uh, you press the button, you enter inside a lift, and you go up. Okay. Now what happens is that if, say for example, there is a power failure or the lift is not working for some reason, you cannot use the lift. You know. But if you see the design of escalator, even if there is a power failure, one can actually climb and use it. Even if the escalator is under repair, then also the person can actually climb them and use it. And you would have found these scenarios mostly in foot over bridges as well as in the railway stations that many times they are not working, but still they are made in use because people can actually use them just like a normal staircase. Okay. So basically, the idea of this theory is that even if the product is not in use, and that's where my question was. So even if the product is not working, is not functional, then also it could have a certain purpose. It could have a certain purpose in the same domain, or it could have a purpose in a different domain. So when we are talking about, all these things, these probably are in different domains. Or when we are talking about upcycling, wherein the old cloth has been used to create say salwars or pillow covers, then again it's a basically what we are doing is we are trying to upcycle it. But many a times we can actually create certain products which can actually fit into the same domain, wherein the purpose is to take point person from point A to point B, and even if it is not working, people can actually climb and reach point B. So it's a very interesting theory. It helps you create more value to a product. It helps you, uh, you know, add more meaning to a product in terms of, what if scenarios. So many times you have these what if scenarios. These are the things which people come up with by themselves, like what sir mentioned about utilizing fridge. So we have our own ingenious ways of utilizing products, but at times even the designer can also think of certain aspects in terms of using the product in various other situations. So any comments here?
Yeah, I could add to it if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. Please, sir. Please.
When people carry vaccine in these carriers, vaccine carriers,
Hmm.
one of the pellet element, what we call the chotacool,
Hmm.
the sort of chotacool for the people to carry the vaccine. So what
Hmm.
they would do is they would freeze water
Okay.
at -20, and when they have to carry it longer period of time, they would freeze the water and keep it along with these things. Though they have frozen the vaccine, and they would also add these frozen bottles of water, so they
Okay.
carry it a longer period of time. That is one. I mean,
So
which
is it for their drinking purpose or
no,
for
no, no,
the
no, no.
vaccine?
For the it's for the vaccine. For
For
the
the
vaccine.
vaccine.
Yeah.
Acha, acha. So that the shelf life is a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, like polio. When you take polio
Polio vaccine.
vaccine,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
so
yes.
you got the whole day, and you may or may not find a power source nearby.
Okay.
So you would have what we call these
Maintaining
pouches.
the environment to,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
for a
no,
larger
a longer
period
period
of
of
time.
time.
Great, sir. Great. Okay. So let's go to the next question. So it's more like a scenario based thing, and it's so let me just give you a brief of what I'm trying to ask here. So say for example there is a particular individual. Uh, let's name that individual A, and that individual follows a very specific pattern. So every day that user comes and he goes up till the 20th floor using the lift, and after the 20th floor he uses the staircase and he goes up till the 27th floor. Now just pick it down. So there is a user A or an individual A. That individual takes lift till the 20th floor, and then till the 27th floor he used staircase. My question is, what could be the reason for it? There could be many reasons. Like sir has said, Duster has 27 reasons, so there could be much more many reasons for this particular behavior. My question is, why this behavior? What could be the probable scenarios?
Sir,
Maybe,
this guy is short in height, so he cannot reach his hands. Uh,
okay. So ma'am has a very valid point. This guy could be short in height. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Probably he has to first report at the 20th floor.
Okay. Okay. So there might be a possibility of a certain profession. So say for
Yeah.
example, uh, he is a milk vendor and he or she, and from the 20th floor he has to go to each and every floor till the 27th floor, and rather than using staircase, sorry, lift, and waiting it to come back and forth, he probably has this particular pattern of you reached up till that floor, and from there to 27th floor he goes to each floor. So there could be a profession angle behind it, that you have to visit each floor rather than waiting for lift. It's better to walk. Anyone else?
Even if their office is at 20th floor and first reporting in the office and then going to the next floors.
But then, sir, in office you have a particular space now, so you could actually then again use lift for that particular floor. Say, for example, you have a punching machine, you have a biometric thing. 20th floor, you do biometric. And then if you are sitting in 26th floor, you can again take a lift.
Wait, the lift works only up to the 20th floor.
Sir?
The lift works only up to the 20th floor.
Yes, sir, that could be one reason.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
lift works
And actually,
only.
this I had experienced this, sir. Means uh, one of the office was on 10th floor,
Hmm.
but the lift always has to go. Means lift was till 9th floor. So
Hmm.
one stair
Okay.
we have to climb.
Great. So there's also an option that there's a restriction to the lift functionality itself. The lift functions only till a particular floor, and then probably the above floors are not in the reach of lift or not lift friendly for construction purpose or whatsoever. So that could be a possibility. Anyone else?
Probably the person is exercise savvy. He wants to climb the stair.
Yes, that could be exercise, and he's
Physical, maintain physical fitness by
for
climbing.
health perspective. He has this particular behavior that. Okay, anyone else?
He could count only up to 20.
He could
Count only up to 20.
he
He
could
could,
count only up to
yeah,
20.
yeah. I mean, he could recognize only up to 20.
Okay, okay, that's a very probable scenario that that person is literate enough only to understand letters till 20. Okay, could be a possibility. उसके बाद के अक्षर उसको नहीं समझ में आते, so he doesn't want to take that risk.
I think the best one was short and height, given by Srijani.
Okay, so sir has a compliment that this is the best one.
Thank
Okay, anyone else? Any possible scenarios?
लेकिन वो 27 फ्लोर का भी ऐसे रैंडमली मतलब सीक्वेंस के हिसाब से वो बटन भी नीचे आ सकता है ना, वो
बटन
बटन
नीचे आ
ऊपर ही
सकता है?
रहेगा ऐसे क्यों हम लोग सोचते हैं.
Sir, I didn't get your point, sir.
Because the button patterns in the lift,
Hmm.
they are in a set of 4,
Hmm.
है ना. तो ऐसे नहीं होता, इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल कि वो 20 फ्लोर तक ही उसका हाथ जा रहा है. जो 27 नंबर का भी जो बटन है वो नीचे भी आ सकता है ना, नीचे भी हो सकता है.
हो सकता है, बट अगर हम इस इमेज की बात करें, हो सकता है कि भाई उसका जो हाथ है वो यहीं तक पहुंच रहा हो. कुड बी.
हाँ, पॉसिबिलिटीज है.
इट कुड बी दैट शॉर्ट हाइटेड भी हो सकता है. इट कुड बी अ किड एज वेल, और इट
हाँ,
कुड बी ड्वार्फ एज वेल. कुछ भी हो सकता
ट्रू.
है. ओके, ओके, एनीवन एल्स, एनी अदर पॉसिबिलिटी? So one of my student, when I posted this question, one of my students said that, sir, he might be having many girlfriends at different levels. So that person would go individually and greet each one of them. So I said, yes, that could be a possibility. And he also cited one of the movies. I think there's a Bollywood movie wherein, the actor is having three wives or something. कुछ है ऐसा. There is a movie around it at different floors. So he, with a strong logic, posted this as a scenario. Okay. So I think the point I'm trying to make here is that there could be multiple scenarios, multiple use cases wherein a person might have a certain kind of behavior, and all these options are valid. All these options could be a particular use case or a scenario for particular type of a user. And when we talk about empathizing, we have to actually look from the perspective of all. So like we have seen that people who are from a health perspective, they are very much eager, and they are working around it. There could be people who might not be that illiterate, so there could be illiterate people. There could be some professional angle. There could be some body hindrance or body type issues. And as a designer or as a person who is looking at all these things, we must also include all these possibilities before we make any kind of perception or we make any kind of judgment to any particular scenario like this. So, so when we talk about all these things, I think the term which also comes to our mind or in practice is called universal design. Has anybody heard about it? Universal design? Okay.
Mm, accepted universally.
Accepted universally. Okay. Or I think the easiest definition would be the design that is accessible to as many people as possible. I'll not say is universal to all because it's very hard to come up with a product which is equally accessible to visually impaired or hearing impaired or to an able-bodied person. But the idea is to come up with a product that is uh, accessible to as many people as possible.
Sir, I heard this term called universal adapter or universal, socket, which works everywhere in every country. I
Hmm.
think it's related to that, right? I mean, like this universal design.
Ma'am, you can say it in a certain way. I mean, the idea is that whichever country you go, you should be able to use that particular socket. But when we also talk about different types of users, we do have people who have limitation with their body. Say, for example, a person who is handicapped might not be able to use it.
Hmm.
A person who is blind or visually impaired might have difficulty in using it.
Hmm.
So it is also from that perspective, like you mentioned that that individual might be short-heighted. So when we talk about universal design, we try to address as many people as possible. So the idea is to address as many people as possible. We can't make everything which is accessible to each and every one, each and every user, because each and every product has a certain target audience, and doing that is a challenge in itself. But
Hmm.
the idea is to take a note of that there are different body types, there are different people with a different socio-cultural backgrounds, they have a different literacy level, and then you come up with a solution so that it makes much more meaningful to them.
Hmm. Understood. Thank you.
Could it be like a mobile phone having multiple languages on it? I mean, an application having multiple languages?
Yes, yes, that is one of the features. So a lot more, not only in mobile applications, even the national education policy also promotes that
Mhm.
we should have education in more of regional languages to promote and have a
Mhm.
wider audience to it. So that is very much an aspect of making it much more universal. Even in the conferences, if you see these days, I mean, those who are much sensitive to the larger set of audience, they will have people who would convey the message of the speaker in sign language format as well. So there would be audio, video transcription going live with the videos, and the speaker who is presenting, along with a person who is sign language expert, is also trying to explain. And even in Doordarshan, if you would remember, initially the news would come in different, sign language as well as Sanskrit news would also come, and Hindi and Urdu news would also come. So these all things are there in practice, certain bits and pieces. But it's a very good practice. We should always be hopeful that more such things come.
I think one example for universal would be the red stoplight,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and red, green, and yellow. I mean, internationally, everyone knows that uh, red, green, and yellow.
Hmm. 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 So even light as well as traffic signals, which
Yeah,
or signages, you can say the stop and then the crossing and all. They are made in a way that even if you are not a very educated person or literate person, then in that scenario as well, you will be able to understand, what is coming up front. So yes, okay, that leads to our final scenario. It's more like an ideation exercise. Better would have been if you could have a paper and a sheet and a pen and ideated it alongside. But if you have that accessible near to you, I think we can do this. A very quick activity. It's based on ideation. We would have seen that, for example, the letterbox, the postbox design, people created different ideas, right? So, say for example, this is the scenario with the over-the-top platforms. Dish antennas have become redundant in many of the urban households. It might be a case in your homes, or it might be something which you would be seeing around, especially in the apartments. Uh, what could be the ways in which you can reuse them? So, like we talked about, upcycling, using, repurposing. I think everything is getting connected to questions as well, right from the lift to the scenarios to this particular thing of repurposing.
एक तो
So, what
गमला
could be the ways? Yes, sir.
गमला
Okay, so you have this thing, and you might want to add some mitti to it and flowers. Okay.
Parabolic solar oven.
could
I don't know whether it's possible, but
could
maybe.
be could be
Could be, ma'am. You add a
could
foam
be
and a reflective layer, and you have your this thing here, so you can actually. Uh,
Right. That's what I thought. I'm like, this is the first thing came into my mind from this dish antenna actually.
hmm. Okay, very cool, interesting. Anyone else?
uh, attaching a mirror, and they can be put on the crossroads for understanding the vehicle is coming on the other side.
Uh, I think those are more in convex shape. If
yeah
Yes, sir.
convex. You can turn it around. पिछले वाले बाग को यूज कर लो आप
हाँ उस साइड हम लोग कर सकते हैं. You can use it in the intersections and
use
crossroads.
it as a seat to sit on.
Yes, perfect. So maybe you add a little backrest, maybe another antenna here, and just add something, and can be used as a seat. What else?
uh,
It can be used as a tabletop as well.
Okay, so yes, tabletop.
बर्ड्स के लिए पानी की पानी का
So it could also be bird feeder, or you put water in it. You can hang it, make that happen. You can also have a flower pot which has these things coming out.
इसको एक गोंग बोल के भी यूज कर सकते हैं सर.
क्या सर क्या?
बेल
ऐसा
बोल के
गॉन्ग
भी यूज कर सकते हैं.
हाँ well.
हाँ मतलब
Okay, so you add a hook, और स्कूल में जो हमारी बेल होती है, स्कूल बेल, वहाँ पे भी हम यूज़ कर सकते हैं. होप सो.
हाँ ये लेकिन थोड़ा बड़ा आवाज करेगा. एक एक ही स्ट्रोक काफी है इसको.
Okay. Anything else?
use it for painting. I mean you could paint something onto it
Yes,
and hang it on the wall.
you can use it
पुलिस प्रोटेक्शन के लिए भी यूज चलेगा.
as a shield, huh?
हाँ एज अ शील्ड.
Great, sir. Shield for
Use
protection. Anything else, sir?
एज अ
umbrella
शील्ड बोल के भी यूज कर सकते हैं सर इसको धूप में.
क्या सर?
umbrella
अम्ब्रेला अम्ब्रेला.
Okay, so you inverse it, you add something, and it becomes an umbrella. Okay. Anything else?
you can use it as shield.
Shield we have added, sir.
I mean while fighting
Okay. So shield for warfare. Okay.
इसको व्हील बोल के भी यूज कर सकते हैं सर.
Wheel.
हम्म.
Anything else?
Can I use a like a tawa?
Mm. A big tawa, giant tawa. Or the inverse could be used for something like a rumali roti.
Alright, good, great.
Okay. Any more ideas?
Use a blackboard.
Blackboard. Okay.
Light reflector.
Light reflector. I heard that, in one of the places wherein there was a hilltop, I call the name, and there was a village here, and people would not get sunlight after certain period of time. So they installed a very giant reflective this thing. So suddenly they started getting the sunlight because of that reflector, and they could get it up till like 6 to 7 p.m., which was initially only till 11 a.m. or something. So so scaling it and using it for these purposes is still being used. That's very interesting. Anything else?
For carrying, actually, when I first said gamla, it was not flower pot. What is that thing in which people carry mud for when they're
Ah, sir, in Hindi it's called tasla.
tasla? Acha, sorry, sorry. Okay, tasla.
Gravel, sand, yeah, tiny stones they carry there in construction.
So it can be also used for conveying signals, or in case of elliptical shapes, the focus points. If we
Hmm.
put this disc at that focus points,
Hmm.
and if one person speaks at one focal point, it same can be heard at the other focal point.
Sir, some deep physics you are suggesting. Okay, so some reflection and some rebounding of voice, and then something like that you are saying.
Uh, yes, sir. At that particular location, if you speak something, then it will be transmitted on the other end at a particular distance, at a particular location.
Okay, okay, okay.
Messaging.
Got it, sir, got it.
You're reminding me of one story. I think दादी और वो जो चिमटे चिमटे की कहानी.
Hmm.
Have you heard it?
No, sir.
So we read it in school. I mean, there's a good granny and she had a grandson. His parents were not. He didn't have his parents, so she used to struggle and make ends meet. तो मेले में जो है शी गेव हिम 5 रुपया और कहते हैं कि जाकर कोई खिलौना ले लो.
Hmm.
So he goes there, sees a lot of toys. He's enamored. He wants to buy those toys. But in the end, he thinks of his dadi. She gets that she gets her hand burnt when she takes off the chapatis from the tawa.
Hmm. Hmm.
So he buys her a chimta. So his friends make fun of him. कि ये क्या चिमटा ले लिया तेरे को खिलौने के लिए.
Hmm.
So he sort of puts it on his shoulder and says, "This is my garden," and it's a nice story. I mean,
Ah, acha, acha.
and he finds about 4 or 5 different toys out of it, and that was the story. I think of various uses of a chimta.
Hmm. Hmm. Very thoughtful kid, sir. I mean,
I mean, it was a story. It was a story in
ah, okay.
moral science के classes होते थे उस time. तो उसमें था ये. I forgot the name. Dadi or I mean, some name and chimta. ऐसे कुछ
Hmm.
था उसमें.
Sorry, this can also be used as a way balancer.
Yes, so you bring two
Mm.
of them, and Raju type we can use it. Something like that, sir.
नहीं, सिंगल
ये
भी कर सकते हैं, सिंगल भी
अभी
कर सकते हैं।
इसका और कुछ हट के कुछ आ नहीं रहा सर जल्दी से दिमाग में।
सर काफी डाइवर्स आ गया है मतलब।
फिर भी ये जो पता है उसमें से ही आया है, जो
हाँ
अलग डोमेन होके वहां से कुछ आया है ऐसे, और आ नहीं रहा है जल्दी से। देखते हैं अभी और कभी स्ट्राइक हुआ था।
बट इफ यू कैन थिंक मोर, मतलब आप बता सकते हैं और सोच भी सकते हैं इसको।
हाँ सर, बच्चों को बिठा के इसको खींच सकते हैं खेलने के लिए।
सर इसमें मैं थोड़ी सी चीज़ ऐड करूंगा कि आई थिंक इट इट वाज अ गुड आइडिएशन एक्सरसाइज। मोस्टली हम ऐसा ही कुछ करते हैं, और अगर आपने देखा भी हो आइडियो का शॉपिंग कार्ट स्टडी, उसमें भी दे वर डूइंग सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ आइडिएशन, और फिर उन्होंने भी क्लस्टरिंग की एंड दे केम अप विद सर्टेन कॉन्सेप्ट्स। नाउ जस्ट टू गिव यू एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग, सो these terms like recycling and upcycling, they are used, बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़ करते हैं हम इन चीज़ों में। सो टू गिव यू अ बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग, रिसाइकलिंग इज प्राइमरली व्हेन यू take a material, you try and disintegrate it or melt it, and then again you use it in that particular domain itself. But when we are changing the domain, it becomes upcycling. So a very interesting example is that of tires. Say for example, if you take a car tire, and once the life is over, people, what they do is they again melt it down, they take the rubber out, they mix it with the new material as well, and then they again create a tire, and that's what is happening in the recycling. Likewise in glass bottles also, they flush it down, they'll again, create molten state again, they'll make it, it becomes recycling. But what happens in the upcycling is that you are shifting the domain. Say for example, if you have a car tire, and if you try and make a seating out of it, you make a furniture out of it, it becomes a something which is upcycled. So not retaining the domain, but shifting it to a very different domain. Likewise, if you would have seen that the glass bottles, they are used to create, lighting fixtures as well. So when the moment we shift the domain, it comes into the basket of upcycling, and when it remains in the same domain wherein you are, uh, creating and utilizing it again in the molten state, or you're melting down the material and again using it in the same context, it becomes recycling. So many a times we do get confused with these two terms, but this is the broad difference between the two terms of recycling and upcycling. So with that, we come to the conclusion of the session. What we'll do is I'll stop presenting my screen, and only 5 or 6 of us are left. If we don't mind, we can turn on our camera, and I would like to hear your experiences of these sessions, and what we could do more. Probably it can help me when I'm conducting further sessions, say for example, the next time. So your feedback, your experiences, and maybe you would have learned a lot from these courses, case studies. So would like to hear from all of you. Sir, you can unmute yourself.
First, let me thank you. It's been wonderful 4 weeks. Really, it's been what, thought provoking, and we had a nice team here. I mean, Gekot sir, Srijani. I mean, I've gone through the books also. I mean, didn't find time to go through them. Just been reading one or two pages right now, but found it interesting. And it's been really interesting with you. I mean, where things went. And one thing is, I mean, I just wanted you, if you could get back to NPTEL, I find you're being disturbed. I mean, all the other TAs are being disturbed when someone wants to enter.
Hmm.
Suppose we are late, and if they could have something like automatic entry, because I get the link, and so that we don't disturb the others. Not everyone can enter at the same time. Some people may enter later on, so that we don't disturb the others. and of course the presenter, that the presenter himself or herself don't get disturbed. So if they could have that auto entry sort of thing, that would be helpful for everyone.
Yes, yes, that's true.
Because you have to, I think, shift your screen. You have to go back and then allow them to enter. So if
Right.
that could be done, it would be helpful both to you and to the students who are coming in late. ऐसा होता है ना कि कॉलेज में don't get kicked out by the professor. So to avoid that, if that could be done, so that would be it.
Yes, sir, point noted.
Yeah.
I
If,
think I think the issue is with respect to the institute login.
yeah.
So in institute login, I think I think the settings cannot be changed to auto login. But I think
Okay.
from a private login, we can have that flexibility of allowing, so anybody who has access to the link can easily enter.
Okay.
But from the NPTEL, we were basically informed that to keep a check on who is entering, because they might have experienced in past
Okay.
that, there might be, because in the COVID time this happened a lot. Uh,
Okay.
the misuse of people, entering with fake names and creating mess in the this thing. So
Okay.
maybe that is the reason this on. But yes, what you're saying is also correct. We do get interrupted. We have to shift the screens, and it's a break in
Yeah.
the flow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It breaks your.
yes, yes, sir, that's true. Sir, one more question. I mean,
Yeah.
is there any product which you like the most, which you use and which you are fascinated by the product? It could be for any reason, the build quality, or it has been with you for a very long time, or you're just amazed with the product. So I'll ask this question with the other members as well, if you have anything in mind.
I'm fascinated with pocket knives.
Pocket knives.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And there's this knife by the Swiss army knife.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. The multi-purpose knives.
Hmm.
They have right from a single blade to a multi. They got about 37 options in that. I think 37 or something. So my father was fascinated with them. So I sort of got that fascination from him. So that's,
Okay. Okay. Nice. So you do carry it, sir?
I do have three or four, but I
Three
don't
or
carry
four?
them. But I don't carry them now.
Acha. Okay. But
While
yeah.
working, I did because it used to have a screwdriver in it.
Huh.
So if at all I wanted a screwdriver, so I could always use that. So
Okay. Okay. Great, sir. Great. Thank you so much, sir. Gaikwad, sir, if you are there, you would want to share.
Yes, sir. Uh, First of all, I would like to thank you, sir. And I would like to tell you that the sketches which you are drawing during answering our questions, I
They are very
appreciate.
bad.
They are very cute,
Acha.
very correct, and they appeal us more. We can understand in a better way how a designing mind thinks when even when giving a solution.
Hmm.
And we also thank to NPTEL and the overall designing of this curriculum and this program is done in such a way that we are occupied simultaneously. The learning is happening, and also the new things which are being taught to us, that uh, we really feel that we are learning something new. And we also feel that uh, when something similar kind of situation arises in front of us, how we are supposed to think on it, how we are supposed to find the problems, not haphazardly but in stages, in a particular manner, in a particular procedure. So these things we have started learning, sir. So thanks to all, and once again, thanks for your beautiful sketches, for the
Nice.
sketches which you have.
Sir, although usually all architects do sketch well, but my sketches are not of that quality. I am glad you could like them.
But still, we can correlate, sir, that easily.
If it is able
And
to
about
correlate,
the new ideas or the new products or the new the products which we appreciate or the products which we can criticize, there are many, but as of now, I could not list um, as such. But what I have done, sir, I have listed some of the ideas which come to me.
okay,
So I have listed those ideas, and I would like to work on them in association with IDC. So if even if it is possible to get associated with you and IDC and then work on it, I'll be more happy to work on it.
okay, sir, okay, noted, sir. Sir, although I'm not a part of IDC, but all the IITs, most of the IITs and even SPAs, they have this design innovation center wherein, you know, even the nearby location, you can actually approach them for
Okay, sir.
coming up with a project.
Okay.
So, whichever is there in your proximity, you can approach them and you can take up your idea as a project there. Uh,
Okay.
that is a
Okay,
good
sir.
possibility.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your suggestion, sir, and comments. Srijini ma'am, would you like to share your point of view, suggestions, feedback?
Yes, sure. Um, First of all, thank you, sir, and thank you, everyone, for this, like amazing course. I've learned so many things, and this is the best part, I think, learning every day because I try to learn every day. That is the most beautiful thing. And my best the best part in this course here is like this problem solving session, which was been very interactive. And I mean, like, all of the people who joined and interacted and gave their suggestions, and I'm really grateful for that because like the more you interact with people, the more you learn. So this is the best part. And thanks to you also. And another thing is like, which I think is, as you said, like which product you like most. So for me, it's I think pencil and paper because this is the best innovation happened, I think, because I'm also an artist. I mean, like, it's my passion, so I love to draw. I'm an illustrator too. So I love to draw and sketch. And so for me, this is the best innovation happened so far because you can do a lot of things from sketches. Actually, is the is the basic of any kind of idea. I mean, it's the like the bigger ideas also. So for me, it's the best innovation happened so far. And thank you all for for this session and everything. And I'm going to miss this for sure because this is the last session. I really enjoyed it, and thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And it's really nice that you are still using pencil and paper because a lot of people have moved on. But now people are using Apple pencils and all that thing. But yes, I think uh, you get the feel right from the pencil, and when you sharpen it and when you use a paper, it is much
Right.
more.
From
Uh,
the and the what I would say, like from watercolors and from like the classic type of art.
mhm.
So that's a different kind of feeling. I mean, like, it's very different from all the technical things actually.
I think
So
it also has to do with our past experiences of childhood. It becomes very nostalgic when you are using pencil and paper. A lot
right,
of memories get triggered. So
right.
that is
And I'm very interested in human anatomy, so I practice gesture drawing a lot. So that's a very like regular practice for me almost. I really enjoy it doing. I mean, like, even if I'm walking by the side, I'm doing something. I mean, like, drawing is the my regular habit. It happens all the time.
great, ma'am. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have Arpita, ma'am. Would you like to share your feedback, suggestions? We have Miss Palak. Ma'am, would you like to share anything? I'm not sure whether they are attending to it. Okay, so let me also thank all of you. I think this group has been very interactive, and I think the sessions becomes much more meaningful and exciting when a lot of people share their point of views, share their stories, and share their experiences. So that's where a lot of learning happens. And I think I've also learned a lot of new things from the audience here, from the participants here. And now I have more stories to tell when I'm taking up new courses. And I also keep a note of a lot of things, what all you have suggested, shared. And that's why I've also tried to maintain these annotations with the presentation so that, I also do learn from all these aspects of it. So I must also thank all of you for being a very active participant in this particular course. Uh, this activity, it helps us, maintain my duration of 2 hours as well. And it keeps you engaging because when you hear a lot of point of views, you learn a lot from that as well. So because of your participations, I think it helped us to understand more about a particular problem or a question. So that is very much appreciable from the perspective of all. And thanks a lot for your comments. And I do have taken note of a lot of aspects which I think will help me in taking further courses. And I also have certain suggestions which I've taken note, which I'll be making it to the NPTEL team. So thanks a lot from that perspective.
One problem immediately comes to my mind is banging of the lift doors, the manual lift doors.
Hmm.
People have a habit of banging those doors.
Just like the normal doors.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
And hats off to everyone. I mean, especially uh, thinking out of the box. I mean, the thinking out of the box was great here. Like today's example, that the person was too short, given by Miss Srijani. I mean, it's a great learning experience. I mean, a person is too short to reach 27, and all the participants were great in this particular thing, and especially you. I mean, as a teacher, getting your people to participate is itself an art because other zones have been people participating. I mean, expressing themselves. People have been a bit shy, I think, in the other areas. So getting them to open up itself is an art. So thank you very much, Mr. Abhishek. And it's been a wonderful presentation. Mm, I mean, I've attended the other lectures also. No one has explained in detail the first parts. And one suggestion is when you put up the cheese and what do you call it, the radio buttons, you have three options. Change it every week. So I can at least have a choice of eating something.
So if you have observed, I change it once in. Do you note that change, sir? Have you noted that
I,
change?
I think there was one change. The lighter part of it, the lighter side of it.
Sir, I
And
was
thank you.
repurposing my slides.
And thank you, everyone. Really, I mean, it's been especially last week also, it was a lovely experience. And the explanations given, the to how you arrived at a particular answer was really great.
Yeah,
So,
actually, I think it's very, very interesting when you hear a point of view and then you try and understand their thought process that, what triggered them to. So I would like to basically ask Srijani ma'am that, how was your thought process when you answered that question? Because usually you don't get that answer. It was a
yeah,
very
it's out of the blue. I mean, really out of the blue. And it could be one of the right answers too.
Which one you are talking about, sir?
The lift one.
Okay, okay. Actually, the thing is like I love solving riddles a lot.
Okay.
So I used to get those kind of like questions in riddles a lot, and I love solving them. So I practice a lot of things like that. So that is why maybe this idea came into my mind, because usually like riddles are usually out of the box in
Yeah.
general. So that is why maybe there is one of the reasons that that idea came into my mind.
So, ma'am, I have a riddle. Would you like to solve it?
Sure. Let's
I'm not sure whether I will
So
try.
it is open to all. So
Sure.
so there are these four letters: letter A, letter B, letter C, and letter D. Now B somehow feels much more cold. Why do you think is the reason? So let's assume they are individuals, A, B, C, D, and the letter B feels much more cold as compared to the others. उसको ठंड बहुत लगती है. Why do you think?
एसी के बीच में है.
Nah.
Yeah.
Okay.
बिल्कुल सही सर. So,
Sadly, actually, what happens is like I don't know whom I was here listening to, that children when they sketch at school, when they sketch, they are not encouraged to sketch. And when you come out from there and then you come down to, I think it was one of the lectures that I don't remember, that sketching takes importance when you're in design.
hmm,
Basically, you are somewhere and you get an idea. You get an idea. So you got to remember it. Either you write it down or you sketch it down. So sadly, in school, you're not allowed to sketch
हाँ,
because when they're teaching maths and you're sketching down here कि सर का शक्ल ऐसा है तो then you really get whacked for it. So, I mean, encouragement. I mean, things may be different today.
sir, how did you solve it? Did you write it down and then it clicked to you, or you imagined and then?
I just imagined. I mean, but I like at times certain things click
हाँ.
at certain time, and at times nothing clicks. It depends on what circumstances and pressures you're under.
So one thing about mimicking nature. So today's scenario, everybody is so occupied. We are really unfortunate, and we are really not spending much time being with nature, observing nature, and then understanding and utilizing the strengths of nature. So this is happening, sir. So probably it's a sad part of our learning system
That's true,
that
sir.
we are not devoting more time in understanding nature.
Sir, I'll just share an example and then we can close the session. So, since we again came back to biomimicry, so there was there are a lot of cases because of the apartment culture, and we have this glass facade now in architecture and built environments. So the birds, they are not able to recognize glass as a barrier, as a physical barrier. And because of what is happening is that they would fly down and they will get take a hit and then they'll die. तो ऐसा आपने देखा भी होगा कि बहुत जगह they get trapped. So if it is a glass facade and they have somehow entered in, they will consistently try to come out from the glass because they do not see glass as a barrier. Now, this was taken note, and I think there is one glass company. They said that okay, let us try to solve this out. So what they did was they analyzed the spider webs, and they figured out that the birds are able to recognize it because of the UV reflection, something they could actually see that it is a barrier. So what they did was they came up with this glass facade which had very fine strokes of UV reflections. So whenever the glass facade had these they designed it specially. So bird safe glasses. I think the company name is Ornilux, ORNILUX, and they have started making these bird safe glasses, and it has been a very big hit in, especially in the West, because they are much more, they do take much more care for the harmony of all, basically. So not just human beings, but you also address the wider audience, which is the birds, the other people in the part of nature. So a lot of learning happens from nature, and if we try to deep dive into it, I think we'll get a much more safer environment, not only for ourselves, but I think all from all perspective and all those who are living beings in the nature.
So just one last thing I would like to share, sir.
Yes, sir.
The cause of joining this program is us, sir. So there I mentioned about I would like to, matlab, if I can get an internship opportunity to work with these learnings, that would be fulfilling my cause, because just having an objective of clearing the exam and getting the certificate is just not the purpose, sir.
That is true, sir. Sir, but sir, I am also a student, sir. I do not have any internship opportunity. Probably I might be seeking as well. Um, but yes, as I mentioned, sir, DICs, they have openings for even the interns.
Okay.
So you might have to look for the nearest design innovation center. You might get an opportunity there. Also,
Yes.
what happens is that there is this, if you are interested in Indian knowledge systems, IKS. So it's an area wherein they also invite people to join in as a researcher or as a person who can contribute. They also have a lot of projects which are floating. So there is this within the Ministry of Education, they have this Indian Knowledge System cell where they have a lot of projects. So उसके लिए you need to have that inclination towards the Ved Puran and Vastu Shastra. So if you have that kind of knack or interest in that, they also offer internship opportunities.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, okay. So like sir has mentioned, Ambrose sir, so best of luck to all of the learners and participants for your final exam. And I'm very sure that the kind of thought process we have seen in these sessions, all of you will pass, that is for sure. And best of luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to all.
Thank you.
Thanks to all. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek, and thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Good night. Happy.